What is going on, everyone? The stream has started. So yeah, we're just going over off-season news. You probably already saw that in the title and the thumbnail. The W is like over there, and I'm not centered with the W is pretty much what I'm saying. But we're just gonna be going over free agent signings, free agent rumors, trades, trade rumors, and then like just other random stuff. I have all of it like over here. So I'm gonna be looking over here a few times. But other than that, I should be looking like at the camera. So let's just get started. We're just pretty much going to be discussing every single thing that's happened. And we are going to start with pretty much the very first signing that happened. And it did happen a while ago, but I never really properly went over it. So we are going to start with Tyler Anderson. Anderson, really good left-handed pitcher, was very successful for the Dodgers last year, and he has never been good in his career, so it was a bit of a risk. With the Angels, the LA partner, I guess you could say, with the Dodgers, went out and signed Tyler Anderson to a 3-year, $13 million deal. Nope. 3-year, $39 million deal. He's making $13 million every year. I think it's a pretty good signing for them. It's like I don't really know because there's a very high risk there. He's not going to be your ace. He pitched the most innings for the Dodgers last year, actually. But he's not going to be your ace. They have Shohei Ohtani. He's your ace. The thing is, Anderson has dealt with injuries in his career. Also, he's never been good outside of this last season with the Dodgers. So I do like the signing for the Angels. They're going all in. We're going to be talking about them more later. But I see the risk factor in it. Like, it's a high risk, high reward situation, pretty much for the Angels, is what I'm trying to say. So, next up, we have a couple big ones at the beginning now. And our next player will be Jacob deGrom. Now, deGrom, this is another one, high risk, high reward. deGrom canceled his contract with the Mets, obviously wanted more money, and he is 35 years old, which is the main thing to keep in mind here. And the Rangers got him. 5 years, $185 million. So now the biggest thing here is that I feel like they're kind of like strapped up. They're not going to be able to spend that much money the next free agencies. They have spent like almost $1 billion, if not $1 billion, I'm pretty sure, on 3 players on their team. So that raises a problem, obviously, because if you're spending $1 billion, not per year, but in total on 3 players on your team, then the rest of your team, you're not going to be able to build a good team around those 3. They already got another starting pitcher to complement the guys in their rotation, but there's not really much in their rotation. There's John Gray, there's Martin Perez. After that, it gets kind of blurry, along with a free agent that we're going to talk about in a second. But there's still just a lot of holes in that Rangers team. Although I do think, just like Seager and Semien last year, I think deGrom is a great building block for a team that is looking to, improve, get better, get into that playoff race. And I think Jacob deGrom is a great way for them to get there. But like I said at the beginning, it's high risk, high reward, because Jacob deGrom carries a burden with him. They're paying him $37 million a year, and every single year with that $37 million, they are taking the risk that he won't pitch the entire year. There is a very good chance that deGrom won't pitch the entire year for one of those 5 years. He's aging, and injuries have already become a problem as he gets older. Now, I'm not saying deGrom isn't a good pitcher. deGrom is an outstanding pitcher. But he didn't pitch as much this year. He didn't pitch as much last year. He's had injury history the last 2 years that has prevented him from pitching nearly as much. I think the Rangers need to hold him to a certain innings amount. I think they have to pull him after 7 in any given game. I don't think he should ever go over 7 innings just for the fact to conserve him enough to where he can play the full season, outside of any other injuries. Pitching 7 innings isn't going to stop if you pull your hamstring while you're pitching. That can't stop that. But I feel like the Rangers should just really try their hardest to keep DeGrom healthy, because with DeGrom, the Rangers are just so much better of a team. And I think they really do need him if they want to be a playoff contender. I don't think they're going to get another guy that we're going to discuss later, and he's also a very good pitcher, because I don't really think they need him. They do have good prospects in the minors, and the other 3 guys with DeGrom, they just have that 5 spot open, and I'm interested to see if they'll just put Dane Dunning there or if they'll go out and sign somebody, call up a prospect. I'm not totally sure. But on that note, let's get into the next one, which is yet another big pitcher, and this one is even more interesting than DeGrom. Justin Verlander. So Verlander is coming off of a season where he did get injured, and that season is coming off of 2 seasons where he pitched 2 games in total after having Tommy John surgery. So, that is hard to say for for Verlander. But the thing is, he just won Cy Young. That's the thing. 1.75 ERA. Yes, he got injured, but that is elite. He is 38 years old, and he was the best pitcher in Major League Baseball last year without a question. It doesn't matter to me that he got injured. If you're going to go out and be 38 years old and have a 1.75 ERA, congratulations, you are an amazing pitcher. And everybody already knew that. And now we look at it like this, and this is such a funny way to look at how much money the Mets are spending. The Mets just gave him a 2-year contract worth $86 million. Now, last year, they gave Max Scherzer a 3-year contract. And throughout that 3-year contract, they're paying him $43 million a year. So now, after 2022, it's down to 2 years. And if you can do some quick math in your head, 86 that Verlander is making divided by his 2 years is 43 a year. So between Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander, who are 37 and 38, they will be paying Max Scherzer until he's 39 and Verlander until he's 40, $86 million per year for those 2 players. And those are 2 players that are both high risk, high reward, just like the very first 2, because they're both aging. Now, Jacob deGrom has only gotten better with age. Scherzer, on the other hand, kind of the opposite, but also kind of the same. Scherzer was not amazing with the Tigers. He was still really good with the Tigers, but when he went to the Nationals, he took that step up. Then he went to the Dodgers. He was still very good, but last year with the Mets, injuries plagued him. There was some starts where he just wasn't that guy. Playoffs, I know he was coming back from an injury, but he allowed 5 home runs in 5 innings to a Padres team. That is a problem for the Mets. They need both of those guys to be healthy, even with the rest of their rotation. They need both of them to be healthy if they really want to win 100 games like they did last year, especially with losing DeGrom. So, we've spent 9 minutes on our very first 3 players, and we're going to continue with the big players here. Sorry. We're going to continue with the big players here, and we have, he's pretty decent. Shortstop Trey Turner. And Trey Turner, he got a pretty good amount of money. So a lot of people are thinking that Trey Turner will age so much No, I did not talk about Cody Bellinger of the Cubs. Thanks for spoiling that. Uh, but anyway, Trey Turner got 11 years. So you think about it, and you think about DeGrom. He's 35. You're fine. He's 35. Actually, you can't see the chat while you're watching that. But anyway, he's 35. He got 5 years. That's until he's 40. Verlander until he's 40. Trey Turner until he's, I believe, 39 or 40. So they're just signing him for a long time. But Turner is unlike Verlander and DeGrom in the fact that he got 11 years. He's not 35. He's not 38. He's 29. And they have him signed until he's 40. The Phillies are paying him $27.5 million every single year until he's 40. Will his speed save him is the big thing that a lot of people are saying. People are thinking that he will age so much better because he has such insane speed. Defense has been a problem the last few years. He booted a ton of plays at shortstop. His speed obviously definitely helps him, but he's pretty much an average defender at shortstop. But in my opinion, he is still the best shortstop on the free agent market and just in baseball in general. There's just nobody better than Trey Turner. He's fast. He's hitting home runs now. He gets a ton of RBIs. He is the picture-perfect 1 or 2 batter on any given team. He makes that team a good 5 to 10 wins better every single year than they would be without him. Trey Turner is just a great ad for the Phillies. I know they just made the World Series last year, but him and another free agent signing that they had immediately makes them a World Series contender again. But they weren't really a World Series contender in 2022, but they still made it. But anyway, we will move on to our next player, and this is a little bit of a smaller one. I'm not going to spend too much time on it. Kyle Gibson to the Orioles. Don't really know how I love this one. I feel like it's probably going to go just like Jordan Lyles did, which he pitched the most innings for them, but he had a 4 ERA, and he just wasn't really that good for the Orioles. So I don't really love this deal for the Orioles. I feel like they're trying to be young and try to go for it. And I don't really think Kyle Gibson for $10 million is helping that cause that much. So it's pretty much exactly like Jordan Lyles. I disagree with it. I think it's stupid. Last year I didn't really care because the Orioles weren't contending. But now the Orioles are getting up to that status where they can't be spending $10 million like idiots. They can't be doing that anymore. They have to actually be trying because they're playing in a division where I do seriously think they could get third place, especially after a move that the Rays just made. I don't think the Rays are a third place team in that division. In fact, I think they might even finish last. So anyway, moving on to our next player. After Kyle Gibson, we will move on to Josh Bell of the Guardians in 1 second. So Josh Bell, he's pretty good. I think he was definitely overpaid for though. Guardians, and especially considering the fact that he's going to be platooning. So the Guardians do have their first baseman. Now, will he maybe be playing DH? Possibly. But their first baseman was Josh Naylor. And he's a lefty hitter, and he really only hits righties. So Guardians went out, got Josh Bell. I really like that signing. So what do they do with Josh Bell? They platoon him at first base with Josh Naylor. If Josh Naylor moves to DH, Josh Bell is the full-time first baseman. And after this contract, I think and hope for Guardians fans that is what they'll do, because I don't think signing somebody for $16.5 million a year to platoon at first base is a very good idea. I mean, that's just me, but I feel like if you're going to sign somebody for $16.5 million a year, he shouldn't really be platooning with another player at their position. But Josh Bell, like I just said, I think he got overpaid. I don't think he deserved $33 million. If it was 2 years, I think it would probably be closer in the ballpark to like 10 to 12 million. I think he's what he's worth. I don't think at all that he's worth $16.5 million. He could very well prove me wrong. He could go back to his 2019 Pirates form, his 2022 Nationals form. That could happen. The likelihood of that happening is not amazing, but I could see it. I just don't think that the high upside with low downside is worth the $16.5 million he's being paid, because his upside just isn't high enough to be getting paid that much, in my opinion. But that's just me. And so we will now move on to a player that I already hinted at, Andrew Heaney. He also went to the Rangers. The Rangers said immediately after they got DeGrom that they were still looking for another one or two starting pitchers to complement him, Martin Perez and John Gray. And what do? They go out a couple days later and they get Andrew Heaney. Andrew Heaney, just like Tyler Anderson, hasn't really been good in his career. Heaney's actually a former Angel. Hasn't really been good in his career until he went to the Dodgers last year. He had a lot of injuries. He was on the Yankees. He was on a couple different teams. He just really wasn't that good. He goes to the Dodgers. He did deal with injuries again, but has a great season. The Rangers got him, and they got him for pretty cheap, really. $12.5 million a year. I think that's pretty good for them. And so I just really do. This one I probably like even more than DeGrom. I mean, like from a money standpoint, because DeGrom is going to be way better than Andrew Heaney, no doubt about it. But DeGrom was also $37 million a year, and he has injury history, and he's getting old. Andrew Heaney, I think he's like late 20s, early 30s, or just 30. So he's still in his prime. He's relatively young. And so I like this signing more than DeGrom. DeGrom is for sure going to do more than Heaney is, but it's just I just feel like Heaney will be a better like signing dollar for dollar than DeGrom will be. That once again, that's not saying that DeGrom is going to do bad or that Heaney's going to do better than him. I just feel like Heaney will put up a solid 2 seasons for the Rangers, and I think that's going to be more valuable than DeGrom if you take into consideration his contract. And so now we will have the one that I've been asked to do, and that is Cody Bellinger to my Chicago Cubs. So I'm kind of perplexed by this one. When I first heard the news, I was really excited. I was very excited that the Cubs actually did something, went out and got Cody Bellinger. But then I heard how big the contract was, and I just don't know about it. Cody Bellinger, 1 year, $17.5 million. I mean, like I was saying with Josh Bell, I know he has the MVP upside. If he could come to Chicago and hit 40 home runs, I'm not complaining at all. But there's the likelihood of that happening is much, much lower than him coming back, hitting 10 home runs, hitting 200, and still playing great defense. See, like the defense I'm fine with. I thought we were going to get Kevin Kiermaier for a deal, for a 1 year or 2 year deal. We got Cody Bellinger. I wish it was 2 years with like a club option, and then I would even raise the money to like 18 maybe if there was a club option. But for 1 year, no club option, no nothing, I just feel like $17.5 million is a bit of an overpayment. And I am excited to see if he's going to be good or not, which I'm not really expecting him to be good, not going to lie. But I am excited for him to be here, and I hope he does good, but I just don't see him doing amazing, and I don't think he's worth the $17.5 million we're going to be paying him. I did not mean to put that in the camera. That's where I'm getting all my stuff from. I wrote it all down. Anyway, so now we have Phillies pitcher Taijuan Walker, and Taijuan Walker is an interesting one because I'm like, oh hey, good job, Phillies. You know, like you're paying him $18 million a year, But like Taijuan Walker's pretty good. So apparently, I didn't realize how just blatantly average Taijuan Walker was this year. I'm pretty sure his ERA was like 3.5 or 4. But that I'm not saying that this is a bad signing. I love this signing for the Phillies. They need more starting pitching. Sorry, I need more water. They need more starting pitching, and if I called this a bad deal, it would look pretty stupid if I called the next one a good deal because they're pretty much the same thing for very similar pitchers in age, in stats, in how much they're being paid, their contract. So I still do really like Taijuan Walker. I thought he had like a 3 ERA though. And I'm like, oh, this is dirt cheap. It's not dirt cheap. But still, I think $18 million is a good price for Taijuan Walker, and I think the Phillies did really need him. And so I really do like that signing for the Phillies. I think that, like I said, they really needed starting pitching behind Wheeler and Nola. They just lost Zach Eflin, but they do still have Ranger Suarez, but after him it gets a little sketchy. So our next one that I'm talking about will be Mitch Haniger to the Giants, I believe, right? Yeah, Mitch Haniger to the Giants. And this is another one where it's kind of interesting because somebody else went to a different team than the Giants, and they were highly rumored to go to the Giants. And I feel like the Giants knew this was going to happen beforehand. Because everybody knows what happens. Aaron Judge did not go to the Giants. I thought he was going to the Giants. When I heard he didn't go to the Giants, I threw a party inside of my brain because that boosted the Cubs' chances of being a playoff team a ton, which probably won't happen, but it boosted our chances, so that's good enough for me. But another move that happened later today lowered our chances a lot. Anyway, though, Mitch Haniger definitely overpaid, in my opinion. $14.5 million a year for 3 years, $43.5 million in total. It's not Aaron Judge, but he's still solid right fielder. I do like how that outfield is forming. There's Mike Yastrzemski, who's actually probably going to be a bench bat. There's Luis Gonzalez. There's Jock Peterson. There's Mitch Haniger. They are probably going to get someone else who will be mentioned in our rumors later. But I just really do like how that turned out for the Giants, except for the fact that, they didn't get Judge, which makes me happy as a person, but Giants fans probably doesn't. So now we'll move on to another one that I'm very excited about. Jameson Taillon, 4 years, $68 million to my Chicago Cubs. $17 million a year, and I 100% love this deal. Taillon is not a bona fide ace, but he is our new ace. With number 2 is Stroman. I'm rocking his jersey right now. And behind him we have Justin Steele, Keegan Thompson, and then we need another guy. I will talk about that later. I'm going to give my full Cubs overview at the very end of this video, which is going to be extremely biased in favor of my Cubs. But I'm not going to make it so impossible. We're going to trade for Nolan Arenado and put him at third, and then we're going to trade for Pete Alonso, and then I know he just got signed, and we're going to sign Carlos Rodon. We're going to trade for Jacob deGrom. We're going to trade for Sandy Alcantara, and boom, perfect team, World Series. Because that's just not going to happen. Everybody knows that's not going to happen. So, but that's later. Jameson Taillon, I do really like that signing for the Cubs. I think that he's just a really good pitcher to add to our rotation. I think he's a really good spot. There is another guy that I would like us to add that, like I said, I'll discuss later. So moving on to our next player, and that would be Aaron Judge. 9 years, $360 million, $40 million a year to the Yankees. Not much else has to be said. He's an absolutely insane player. If the Yankees lost him, the Yankees would get extremely worse. I thought he was going to the Giants after they offered him $360 million, which $60 million one-upped the Giants, and then the Yankees matched that offer but added a ninth year, and Aaron Judge was in. Now, I would like to note that if this thing that I'm about to talk about happened, this team would be absolutely insane. The Padres offered Aaron Judge 10 years, $400 million. That would sign him until he's 40. So that's the exact same amount of money per year, but just another extra year. He wanted to stay in New York, though. I understand it. The thing is, that team would be absolutely disgusting with Aaron Judge. Manny Machado, if he can get back to it. Fernando Tatis Jr. Jake Cronenworth is still pretty good. Not to mention Juan Soto. An insane pitching staff. Don't even want to talk about it. 2020, they made all of the trades for their pitching staff. Yu Darvish is going to be gone soon, but they still got a great staff, even with trading away a ton of guys at the deadline to get Juan Soto. They do lose Josh Bell, which is a pretty big player to lose. I do see them going out, getting a first baseman like Yuli Gurriel for a year. I don't really know. Maybe they trade for one. But Padres, big offer. That team would be absolutely nasty with Judge, but he turned it down. So we will now move on to the rest of the moves that happened today, which there is 5 more that happened today. We have another minor one, but also not minor. Jose Quintana going to the Mets gets him out of my division, makes me happy. And I think it's actually a really good price for the Mets. 2 years, I don't love it. I'm not sure if there's any option involved. I feel like there probably should be. And if there's not, that's not a great idea because Quintana is getting older. If he kind of sucks the first year, then you can't really get rid of them if there isn't an option. I'm not sure if there is or not. But 2 years, $26 million, $13 million a year. I think that's a very reasonable price for Jose Quintana. He's coming off of a really good year, which the Pirates of all teams developed him. So yeah, I think that's a great signing for them, and it's just good. The Mets needed more rotation after Scherzer and Verlander because one of the two or both of them might get injured. They're both aging. They do still have Chris Bassett, Carlos Carrasco, but he's a great guy to have there as your 5, or probably going to move up if somebody gets injured. Next up, we have one of the 2 moves the Red Sox made today, and the Red Sox are going all in to try and get this division. So they have signed Kenley Jansen to a 2-year, $32 million contract. He was a great closer for the Dodgers for such a long time. He left the Dodgers, went to the Braves on a 1-year, $16 million contract. I believe he was second in the league in saves. First in the NL, second in MLB in saves. And just great season for the Braves. And he got injured for part of the season, so that makes it look even better because he was still second in saves in MLB. And I just think that that's a great signing for the Red Sox. They don't really even need the bullpen help behind. Well, they could, but because they have their big guys, they have John Schreiber, they have Garrett Whitlock, and after that it kind of falls off. But that's just getting another big guy. So they have 3 amazing relievers. So just think of this: Chris Sale gets healthy, Chris Sale goes 6, and then you've got Whitlock, you've got Schreiber, you've got Jansen. Game over, you win. I know Chris Sale doesn't pitch every single game, but that's a guaranteed win every single time if all goes well. So I really do like Kenley as a signing for the Red Sox. But next up, we will talk about one that I'm going to be completely honest. I shed a tear when the news came out that this deal happened. Wilson Contreras has gone to the Cardinals. 5 years, $87.5 million. I think it's $17.5 million per year. It is And it's just really sad because I knew it was either Astros or Cardinals, and I predicted the Astros, not because I thought it was going to be the Astros between the two, but just because I wanted it to be the Astros. He was supposed to meet with the Astros. He might have already, but the Cardinals just got him, and it made me just so sad. He loved it in Chicago so much, but I mean, pretty much the only bright spot of that is that we got a draft pick out of it, but like it just makes me so sad. On the other hand, great signing for the Cardinals. They need a catcher. They were already a playoff contender, even if they're playing, some double A catcher. But I mean, this boosts them a ton. Contreras is a great manager with a pitching staff. He adds a boost to that offense that is already extremely potent. And I do think this takes them out of the shortstop race, which I will talk about a bit later. But yeah, Contreras to the Cardinals. Good for Cardinals fans, but I'm never going to congratulate them. Next one, I'm going to spend about 20 seconds on, so start the clock. Ledmys Diaz, Athletics, 2 years, $14.5 million. Pretty much nobody cares because the Athletics suck. Ledmys Diaz is probably going to play shortstop. He's probably going to be garbage there. Not really sure why he would leave the Astros and go to the Athletics after the Astros just won a World Series, but good job, Ledmys Diaz. 22 seconds. And the next one is an interesting one because the Red Sox must have just called him immediately. So in Japan, you get like posted to be able to come to the MLB after a certain amount of time. And he got posted today on Wednesday. He got posted today, and the Red Sox, I guess they just called him immediately because the very day that he got posted from Japan to be an MLB player, he went to the Red Sox for 5 years, $90 million, $18 million a year. And I really do like this signing for the Red Sox. Once again, it's a Japanese guy, high risk, high reward, because he's never played in the majors. But we haven't seen a ton of Japanese players have success recently. Shogo Akiyama, he was supposed to be so good, hot garbage with the Reds. Saya Suzuki does look like he's going to be pretty good for the Cubs, but like Hideo Nomo, I think he's gotten a lot of comparisons to Hideki Matsui, Masataka Yoshida, I believe his name. Yeah, that's his name. I got it right. Good job, me. I think he would be compared to. Wow, now Hideki. No. Yeah. Hideki Matsui. I don't know. Like that, those are long names for me to think of. I don't know. The name I said like 2 seconds ago. Yeah, I think he'd get comparisons to him even though he was on the Yankees. Hideki Matsui. I think that's his name. But anyway, that is all of our free agent signings that have happened. Only took us about half an hour. So now we're going to move on to some rumors, and I had a lot more players here, but then they all got signed today. So it's 3 shortstops and a pitcher. So we will be starting off with Carlos Correa, and I thought he was going to go to the Cubs, and I think we should still really try to get him, but I truly think he's going to go to the Giants now. With them not getting Aaron Judge, they're going to go all in on getting a bat at least. And I think Carlos Correa will be that guy. They've been linked to him for the last few days. But I think the Cubs are still in the run for him. Apparently, the Twins are still trying really hard. I've heard that report multiple times when I was a Cubs fan. I'm a Cubs fan, and I was hearing those reports daily. And I just pretty much heard them, and I said, bye-bye. The Twins are not going to outbid the Giants or even the Cubs. They're just not. The Twins aren't going to be good next year. So, what's the point in bringing Carlos Correa back? I don't see it. So, but yeah, I think he will go to the Giants. I think the Cubs are probably the second most likely team. I could see the Yankees trying to get him, but probably not after signing Judge for so much. But the next one will be Xander Bogaerts, and so I've been hearing all this stuff about the Cubs getting 2 shortstops, Xander Bogaerts and the guy we're going to talk about next. I don't think it's going to happen. Apparently, he is very into a contract with the Red Sox right now. The Red Sox are trying very hard, but it did get me more hopeful that we'll get both of them with both of the deals that happened today. The Red Sox just add $122 million to their payroll, not for 1 year, but like for next 5 years, but also only 2 years for Jansen. So I could see them not going after Bogarts after spending so much money, but they probably still will. And remember, they still have to extend Devers, so they probably want to save some money. I would love Xander to come to the Cubs. Originally, in the very first stream I did with my free agent predictions, he was my prediction to come to the Cubs and be our shortstop. That changed to Correa, which I now no longer think is going to happen. If Bogarts comes and the other guy comes, Bogarts will play third. But Bogarts is a really good player. I think he's probably going to the Red Sox. I've heard the Cardinals, but with Contreras, there's probably not going to the Cardinals. I've heard the Padres, and they might be moving Tatis to the outfield. I don't know where Ha-Seong Kim goes after that. Not really too sure. And then I've heard the Diamondbacks as well. The Diamondbacks would be interesting. I think Xander on the Diamondbacks would actually be really fun. And this next one, I am completely sold. Cubs are going to get him 100%. I'm going to be that confident of a Cubs fan after what's happened so far. Dansby Swanson going to the Cubs. The Braves and him have been very far apart in talks. I don't know if that's actually what's happening. But the Cardinals were also in on him. That's pretty much the only other team I've heard. And the Cardinals probably aren't going to get him after getting Contreras. So that makes me very happy. I do think we're going to get Swanson. If we could get both him and Bogarts, that'd be great. Will it happen, in my opinion? No. But I do think that Swanson would be great for the Cubs, and I do think we're going to get him too. Okay. Moving on to our final free agent rumor. And for some reason, my thing went away. We have Carlos Rodon. Now, Carlos Rodon is going to one of two teams, in my opinion, and that is pretty much down to one now. Oh, boy. Uh-oh. Oh, man. My mic got messed up. But anyway, like the thing that's holding it just completely was breaking off. Now this is all messed up. Okay. Still messed up. Sorry. Okay, I think it's good now. I think. Hopefully that doesn't become a problem anymore. But so it was one or two teams for Rodon for me, and after Judge signing with the Yankees, that is down to one team. I don't see him going to any other team than the Dodgers. I've heard the Orioles have shown interest, but I think it's Dodgers all the way for Rodon. I just can't see him anywhere else. They've lost Tyler Anderson. They've lost Trey Turner. They need a pitcher. Carlos Rodon is that guy. So now we will move on to some trade news. We're going to go over 5 players that have already been traded, and then 5 rumors about players that could be traded. And then we have 7 things that I'm going to go over, which might actually be down. It's actually going to be down to 1 or 3 things I'm going to talk to at the end, which shouldn't take too long. And then my opinion on the Cubs is one of those 3 things. So we are going to talk about the Teoscar Hernandez and Eric Swanson deal. This was mentioned in the emoji video that I made, very short. But it was mentioned Teoscar Hernandez and I don't know which side dealt the prospect. One of the sides dealt a prospect. But Teoscar Hernandez went to the Mariners. I know his name was Adam Macko, but I don't know which side he came from and which side he went to. And then Eric Swanson to the Blue Jays. Mariners needed an outfielder. They got Teoscar Hernandez. This prompted them to trade Jesse Winker, which I forgot to add in here, so I'll do that after this. I completely forgot to add that trade in here. And then Eric Swanson, Blue Jays needed a reliever. Eric Swanson is a perfect guy. I completely forgot to add the Brewers-Mariners trade in here. So anyway, Jesse Winker, the Mariners have said that they don't really want him anymore. What is going on here? There we go. The Mariners have said that they don't really want him anymore after his kind of atrocious season. And so they dealt him to the Brewers, high upside move for the Brewers. And then they also acquired Abraham Toro, who pretty much sucked last year. And then they traded away Colton Wong, who they were paying $10 million. His defense took a big plummet, but his offense has also been going up the last few years. I think the Mariners definitely won this trade because the Brewers got two players that have upside but sucked last year. And the Mariners got a player that has upside and is pretty much for sure good, unless he just falls off like Jesse Winker did. And then next, we will have two players that I'm going to pair together. They were both traded to the Angels. Hunter Renfroe gets out of my division. Brewers' best hitter. Goodbye to him. Hunter Renfroe, that's a great ad for the Angels, joining Mike Trout in center field. I don't think he could be any more happy joining one of the best players of all time. Gio Urshela, he goes to third base, replaces a hole that is in that team. It's a hole, but it's also not because there's Anthony Rendon, but then Gio Urshela plays short, and then Luis Rengifo is at second. Where do you put David Fletcher, who plays first base? Because I don't like Jared Walsh. Jared Walsh is hot garbage. Don't tell me otherwise. He's not good. And then finally, we will finish off with another dumb Rays move that's probably going to pan out amazingly for them. They will trade away one of their top relievers who is highly coveted because he's a lefty. Brooks Raley going to the Mets. The Mets gave up one prospect, never heard of him. And the Rays give up a really good left-handed reliever to the Mets. So, Rays doing Rays things, being idiots, but it's, that prospect is, I don't even know what position he plays. He's going to be the next Shohei Ohtani, though. So now we'll move on to some rumors. There is now there's actually probably 3 or 4 teams in the mix. With missing out on Contreras, I think the Astros could either re-sign Christian Vasquez or trade for Sean Murphy. I've heard the Guardians going for Sean Murphy. I have heard the Cubs recently have entered the Sean Murphy sweepstakes. And then there was one other team. I don't remember the other team. Dang it. Okay. Man, I feel like I should know the other team. I think it was just those 3. And then the Cardinals were in it. That was the other team. But now the Cardinals are out with signing Contreras, obviously. And then also Danny Jansen. So there's 3 teams there. There's 3 players there. There's the Guardians, there's the Astros, there's the Cubs. There's Sean Murphy, there's Danny Jansen, there's Christian Vasquez. One of those 3 teams are going to get those 3 players. I think Vasquez is going to go to the Cubs. I think that Murphy is going to go to the Guardians. And then I think that Jansen is going to go to the Astros because I don't think the A's will want to trade. I don't think either team will want to trade in division with the A's and the Astros. And then I've heard Luis Arias possibly on the move from the Twins. The Twins, like I said earlier, they're not going to be good. Luis Arias just won the batting crown in the AL. I think he could be a really good move for some teams that need a first baseman. So, yeah. I think it could maybe go to the Padres. I haven't heard any teams exactly, but I think the Padres would be a good fit for him. And then Liam Hendricks apparently is being shopped around by the White Sox. I can see why. He's a very good closer, but he's aging. He's not getting any cheaper. I believe it's $18 million a year. I'm pretty sure he's low 30s, but he's somewhere between 31 and 34. So I think they would get pretty good value from him, but I wouldn't be surprised if they kept him either. And then finally, we have a player that's almost indefinitely going to get traded, and that is Brian Reynolds. He requested a trade from the Pirates. Their general manager said he was not in their future plans, which I highly doubt that. But he's probably going to be gone by the end of this. And then the Marlins have said that they are open to trading any of their starters except for Sandy Alcantara. I think Pablo Lopez is the most likely, but I've heard Edward Cabrera and Jesus Luzardo could also be moving, which kind of surprised me. And then finally, we have the three things at the end, including what the Cubs need to do to be good and my opinion on them. So we have Fred McGriff being inducted into the Hall of Fame. And just, good for him. Not really much I have to say. He was a great player. He didn't make the Hall of Fame, and I think he should probably be in the Hall of Fame. Next up, one I'm pretty excited about. Pat Hughes won the Ford Frick Award, and he also got inducted to the Hall of Fame coming off of his 40th straight season as the Cubs radio announcer. He is a great announcer. I love Pat Hughes. I have his signature on the scorecard for the Cubs Game 7. I love Pat Hughes. I think that's a great signing. And then the Cubs. Like I said, I mentioned the three catchers just a little bit ago. We have to get one of those three catchers. Okay, so hang on. This is going to be a long thing. So, outfield is set. Ian Happ, Cody Bellinger, Seiya Suzuki. Bam. We need a DH who can hit well. I think that could go in many different directions, but we'll get there in a second. We get Swanson at shortstop. If we get Bogaerts too, he goes to third. Patrick Wisdom, he goes to first. Matt Mervis becomes our DH. Now, here's the other way it could go. Matt Mervis plays first. Wisdom plays third. This is without Bogaerts. We sign a DH who's like, and then also we need to sign Kodai Senga. I think we should get 2 to 3 relievers, so 2 to 3. And then I think that we also finally need to trade Kyle Hendricks. And then also if we get Bogaerts and Swanson, I could see, or if we just get Bogaerts, it'd be the same thing if we only got Swanson. But if we get Bogaerts and Swanson, I could see Mervis playing first, signing a DH, and signing both Wisdom and Hendricks. I want Hendricks out of here. I don't care that he's the only player left from the 2016 team. Get him out of here. He's garbage. We're paying him a lot of money. Get him off the books. And I think if those things happen, I think the Cubs are a legit playoff contender. Call me biased all you want. I probably am. That's probably way too hopeful. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed. Very long video. But I think it was pretty good. Once again, no script for this one other than like the money and the actual players because I can't remember all of that. But I hope you enjoyed. Probably a little bit biased, but that's just your update for right now. I have a huge spree of videos every single day. This is a big announcement, by the way. Every single day for the 2 weeks leading up to Christmas, from the 11th through the 25th, 2 weeks, I will have a video daily ranking every single position and ranking some other things. And then on Christmas, there will be a double upload with my top 100 players, which will just be split up into 2 videos, 1 through 50 and 51 through 100. So be ready to watch those. If you're watching this right now, that is a huge announcement. So be ready for that. The first video is Sunday the 11th, which is 4 days from today. I'm ready. I hope you're going to enjoy it, and I hope you enjoyed this video and this stream. Thank you very much if you tuned in, which you are only one person, so congratulations. That is the end of my live stream. Goodbye. Goodbye.